So let's take a gentle posture to very gently allow ourselves to move into that practice that you have taken the seat of your being. Take a couple of deep breaths, and I will gently move the camera towards Darren so that you can see what is the posture is like. But more than the posture, just allow the energy to feel comfortable. Allow the alignment to allow yourself to be more open, bit more, less resistance. Take a couple of breaths to feel that you can breathe deeply into the belly, allowing yourself very gently to observe that space. Very gently. Just see yourself in a place of feeling. Give that ear to the whole body and see what you can hear around, but try not to identify the source of the sound or that I am hearing this. Let's take a moment just to be that without adding the I, that you're just in that space of that freedom, that the condition and the polarity of the mind doesn't interfere. Just basic space that allowing this breath to move in, allowing this breath to move out with patience. Now very gently allow that doing to stop and the interference of the doing is stopped so the mind doesn't force the body into going into patterns of its doing. Like in a sleep, the body just breathe. Now very gently treating yourself as space of enough, well, and good. Now very gently taking that space of caring about yourself. Very gently when you have elevate the space of the spine and each and every vertebra of the spine. Take a deep breath in and very gently twisting the spine to the left on the out breath. And very gently come into the realization, I am taking care of the needs. If you are not in a physical space of moving today, and that's fine, very gently allowing yourself to be in that space. Now very gently you have moved the form of yourself into the left, but understand that. But there is a space that does not move, but the physicality is moved to the left, the breathing is moved, the body is moved, but that's a part of you, not the whole self and the realization. Breathing in back to the center, shoulders relax, just open, very gently elevate that space of the heart. Especially it's very hard if you're going through a rough time, but everything is going to pass. When you're contributing into the thinking, it just stays and it looks like it's staying forever. Take that deep breath in now, change the formation of the legs. Formation, form, and very gently take another deep breath in, elongate the space and lift up the space of the heart. Very gently twisting the spine to the right side. Allow the breath to very gently move. Very gently breathing and breathing out happening without any force. Now very gently take that deep breath in, coming back into the center, shoulders relax. Now very gently shoulders roll back few times. And very gently moving that energy of that we are protecting ourselves with this armor that we call security. But now that it has come to a stage of suffocation, so very gently dropping that armor that prohibit that self-love coming from your ego, it stops you taking care of yourself. Now take a deep breath in and shrug the shoulders up. Tilt the head back and massage the back of the skull and releasing the tension of that space behind the C1, C2, C3, which can even lock the jaw. Chin to the chest, breathe out and drop the shoulders and very gently curving the spine into a very gentle seated cat. Breathing in, push the belly into the front. Opening up, lift up the throat and give a good space into that throat. Coming into that space of patience, empathy. Breathe out very gently into the space of the cat. Now you're trusting of less want that controls you to less and more of your looking into the space of need that has a less control over you. Now breathing in, coming back into the center, shoulders relax and just open. Now very gently stretch that left leg into the back. Accepting that wherever you are into the practice is fine and it's enough. That's where you're going to bring this humility into the space of the understanding. And now you're very gently observing that monkey mind, that thoughts are not you. It jumps from one to another. Even on a spiritual context, it still can create a spiritual ego. Shoulders relax and lift up the space of the heart. Now very gently drop the elbows and with less defensiveness, less judgment, without overreaction into the body or to the posture or to the breath, bringing that equanimity and dropping the elbows and very gently clench and unclench your fingers to release what you're holding. What you're holding is you're holding also in the body. That can be the excess weight, that can be the excess fluid, it can be the excess information, it can be the excess of the pain. So have the courage to open, not open to receive, just open. So the body is accepting and exploring every aspect of yourself, the self, and it's opening up. And for this very moment, you're bringing that space of gratitude for simple pleasure of the practice. Doesn't have to have a reason. You're able to listen to this. You're able to move into this. You're able to stay with it. Now very gently, palms facing down, elongate the shoulder, elongate the arm, let the shoulder blades space and sink. Very gently go back and do a quick refresher simply, whether it's the breath, whether it's a thought. Just breathe and let go. Very gently walking the palms back into you. Shoulders relax and lift up the space of the heart. Now very gently observe that the past would come back, future would come back, memory would come back, imagination would come back. But you have a choice of self-love, whether you move into that or you're using the practice to turn your attention to the soft part of the being, the chaos of the breath moving in, or rise and fall of the wave of the belly. Simple presence, allowing a sound to move through, a feeling to move through. Very gently take a deep breath in, and we're gently coming back into a plank. Shoulders relax, and if the plank is harder, you can drop the knees, keep the elongation, keep the belly, pelvic floor engaged. Now, bringing that left foot into the front, into the space of the pigeon pose. Shoulders relaxed, and that foot is open. Now you are your prana. Shoulders roll back. The energy of the breath is your resources, and it's life-giving. It's not just a thought. It brings you life to be present. Don't wait until it depleted and taken out of you to come into this realization. Your expiration of the breath is also mean dying. So you can allow that out breath to release something that you were holding too much. But it's maybe the inspiration spirit within to release. Or the expiration also means the spirit leaves. Spirit returning the breath. Shoulders roll back, lift up the space of the heart. Breathing into that wonderful realization of the present moment. Very gently drop the elbows, walk those palms, and allow those palms to feel that life-giving energy of self-love. This energy is much more subtler than water or food. But through your breath, you're interacting with this substance. By witnessing this space, you become more intimate and connect between the inside. Shoulders very gently, allowing that openness to bring that space of the body. And coming into that rhythm, then suddenly there is a different rhythm than you're thinking. Endlessly, you're doing things to receive this new life. Releasing what is not want. Allowing what is really need for you. Not just for your ego. Now take a deep breath in, very gently palms onto the floor, very gently coming back into the space of that openness. Whether you know this energy through prana or shakti, whatever it refers, the energy, the spirit, the awareness. Very gently take a deep breath in and moving into a plank. Stronger on the plank, and if the plank is slouching your belly or the hips or the spine, then drop the knees. Now very gently take a deep breath in, push the hips into the front if you have dropped the knees, and open yourself and open your groin. Now very gently push the hips back and give a good rotation to the hips. Breathe breathing is the only way that can create a bridge between the mind and the body, because the practice is psychosomatic. So what is holding in the mind is holding in the body. So bringing the breath helps you to very gently slow down into the process, also move things out of the body if it is easy, or maybe it's a thought process and you breathe out and release out of the mind. So this will allow you that excessive thinking to release and bringing into your real sense. Onto the other side. Now you have this deep cultivation to something that is constantly in there for you, and you have a deep respect for the prana, deep respect for the chi. Now very gently take a deep breath in, push the hips into the front, push the hips into the back, and very gently palms facing up. And you're coming into that open and you to your presentness, that your body doesn't have to hold on to anything. It has released the fear. It's always easy to do the wrong things in life. I always say the wrong things are downhill tasks. Right things are always uphill tasks. Now very gently coming into that space. It's very easy to walk on a plain ground, not to bother about heights. But your liberation has allowed you now to release yourself from that space of what a human wouldn't do, but the space above, but what would a spirit would do it at this very moment. So in any moment, your ladder where you're in life can reach the hell, it can reach the space of heaven, the same space. Choice is yours. Direction has to be chosen by you, not by me. So ask yourself, what has made me a prison? If you hold on to your past, then you're chained and you're not free to do anything. Even you think that it's not doing to you, it is you're doing to yourself. And at this situation, you can behave certain ways because there is no freedom. Now very gently, palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Drop the belly, soften the hips. Very gently breathing into the space of a gentle cobra. Let's say hypothetically you have chosen the risk, you have chosen the height, you have chosen the uphill to discover your ultimate peak, like where the Christ, where the Buddha, where the Allah, where the Shiva has taken. Or you can ask the question, why haven't the humanity has not chosen the bliss of a Buddha, a state of a Christ or Krishna? Why? because people are scared to choose heights. It's easy to go on the downhill. Observe the chaos in the world today. It has never been there before. For the simple reason the man was not so free these days. Breathe out very gently, allowing the body to relax, the head to relax, and turn the head onto a side that it wishes to turn. And very gently use this moment to enjoy where you are at. And now also you can understand when your body is totally in a comfortable places, the body also can come into eruption where energy might want to move in or move out, or you might be in a place what is worth and what is not. So take this opportunity to open up more. So don't use your practice as a discipline, because it can be a force. And some might think this is not my cup of tea. Or not even as a commandment. We are just trying to give you that free, that leaving you to yourself to do what you want to do with your liberation. Because the moment is liberation. If you want to fall below or if you want to rise above, it's perfectly allowed because it's your life. Now turn the head onto the other side, opening up very gently. Ask yourself deep down what is not enough so that you're not falling into some things. You're not falling into the place of breathing in back to the center, shoulders relaxed, just open now very gently onto the knees and very gently moving into your down face. Now, any given moment, you have to understand, you're moving into the poses, you're moving into the different state, so that you are just as a bridge between the two, between the higher realm and the lower realm, the unconscious and the conscious, between growing into the conscious, growing to the freedom. And you're taking each breath, each choice to create yourself, taking total responsibility for it, never to blame anyone else. Now, very gently, take a deep breath in, shoulders relaxed, chest open, lift up onto the toes, push down to the heels, lifting up onto the toes, push down to the heels. Now take a deep breath in and left leg up into the back. Give a good rotation to the left foot. Release those stagnations, the shackles that is prisoning you. Ask yourself, what is holding me? What has happened is happened. Left knee to the left chest, breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back. Left knee to the left elbow, breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back. Left knee to the right elbow, breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back. Left foot into the front. Arms stretch into the back. Interlacing the fingers. Shoulders roll back. Head is not dropped. Head is slightly lift up into the erection of the spine. Breathing in, arms raise onto the crown. interlacing the fingers, very gently, palms facing up, shoulders relaxed, and chest open. Take that deep breath in. You cannot be happy without finding the liberation. So you have to let go of all those structures that has conditioned you and destroyed your freedom. Now very gently opening up into the Virabhadrasana. It's not about survival measures. It's something just protecting our bodies and the mind, but destroying our soul. You have to protect the soul too, as important as the body. Now take a mudra to signify this level of understanding. Very gently coming into that realization. Gentle arch. Very gently breathing in, coming back into the center. Elbow onto the knee. Right shoulder roll back. Right arm reaching up, very gently. Right reaching into the front and touch the floor. Left arm reaching up to the ceiling. Take a deep breath in and open up that space. While opening up the space and very gently moving into these poses, you can release things that no longer is servicing you. And very gently come into this understanding you are at the most is a caretaker, a custodian. Don't become possessive with the body, with the relationship, with the children, because then it gets ugly. So very gently reaching onto the floor and touch the floor. Drop the knee, holding onto the front knee, shoulders relaxed and chest open. Take the moment and elevate the space of the heart. And when you elevate the space of your heart, the possession, whether they possess a property, possess a woman, possess a man, possess a child, and that possessiveness can poison you. So very gently allow the breath to bring the flow, the aliveness, the lovingness. Palms onto the floor, shoulders relaxed, chest open now. Left arm reaching up to the ceiling. Even as I did this push-up earlier, I didn't ask to do that. So now very gently moving into that space. Very gently, but you have to change the postures if your body is not allowing and you need to twist and turn to release certain energies. Clench and unclench the left fingers, release the tension, left reaching into the back and touch the floor. Now very gently into a plank, strong on the pelvic floor. Now very gently left knee onto the floor. Right arm reaching up to the ceiling, clench and unclench. Now very gently rotation to the wrist. Now 6 deep cycles of breath, right arm reaching into the back, breathing in, raising up, very gently opening up the back shoulder blade, back of the space of the spine. Very gently releasing that fear that stored, the authority that's stored. Very gently finding that harmony in the body, releasing that and coming more independence, coming more flow, right? Reaching into the back and touch the floor. Drop the knee, completely breathe out into the space of the cat, opening up, opening up, opening up, opening up. Let whatever the situation is, let people sense the energy of you. Breathing in, drop the belly, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gaze onto the space of the Chittakash, soft part of the upper. Breathe out, anus lock, navel lock, throat lock. Drop the belly, tongue roll up. Of a neutral spine. Now very gently left arm reaching up to the ceiling. Under the armpit, shoulder blade dropped. Shoulder blade drop. Finding a space to open up this space very gently, allowing to release that fight, the flight. Observe the violence of the thought, observe the violence to yourself, ahimsa. Observe that you are hiding in the space of the darkness. Very gently coming and opening up that space. And very gently that you don't have to create this space out of rejection, out of vulnerability, out of victim, out of self-protecting. The self-love is almost a gift. Self-love is almost divine. Self-love is almost sacred. It's not about publishing and writing about it. But very gently coming into holding that space, into the space of totally naked, totally vulnerable, totally pure. Very gently taking that deep breath in and very gently bringing that arm back and very gently opening up the spine and allow that commune, allow that space to move through the whole body and releasing that competition. And the love that is fluid is more available. Love without no jealousy and no possession. And children are belonging to these places. Breathing in, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gaze onto the Chittagasa, coming onto the pose of the cow. Neutral spine, rotate the hips and give a good flush into the bowels, flush into the kidneys, to the liver, to the pancreas, to the spleen, onto the other side. And stretch the spine into the back, palms facing up. Now everybody has the opportunity to learn in the presence of you, whether it's the children, whether it's the partner, whether it's the colleague. Not because you're teaching them anything, but your behavior, your circumstances generate them a kind space. So your life can become a paradise here and now. But it only happens when you release those barriers. Under the name of family, we can create a lot of barriers. Under the name of religion, we can create barriers. Where there is separations, it's very hard to let go of the barriers. Palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Breathing in into an up face, very gently find that gravity and allowing the body that deep breath and allow the posture to become free from doing. Breathe out towards the down face. Releasing things that you are holding, that I cannot live without this, I cannot live without that. Some people experiencing life just like death. But allow that becoming, feeling very much in connection of I am liberated in this present moment. Right leg up into the back, give a good rotation to the right. Right knee to the right chest, breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back, right knee to the right elbow, breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back, right knee to the left elbow, breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back, right foot into the front. Arm stretch into the back, taking that deep breath, releasing that guilt. Ask the inquiry, what has happened to my mind? Out of what happened to my mind, what has happened to my body? What has happened to my speech? Arms raised onto the ground. Have I betrayed myself again? When everything becomes attachment, it becomes a burden. It becomes a bondage. So ask yourself, why have your love has become attachment? Why have your wealth has become attachment? Why have your health has become attachment? Why have your relations become attached? Then you have been in the illusion part of the thing. You're just fooling yourself, opening up onto the Virabhadrasana. When you come into this realization, you can otherwise become slave into the attachment. I told in my classes, you're meant to lick the honey, but when the ant falling on the honey jar, honey enjoys the ant. Of course, I understand there's a subtle fear in the freedom. So we constantly go back to slaving. Well, we talk about freedom, we write about freedom, we Instagram about freedom. But really, a lot of people don't have the courage to be really free. Because when you're really free on the Virabhadrasana, you're alone. If you have the courage to be alone, then only can you be free. Don't take it wrong. I'm not asking you to be without a relationship. Just that you're okay even being alone. gentle arch. Use the posture that eliminates that courage enough to be alone. Because if you're going to become independent or you want a relationship, just ask yourself, why do you need someone? Are you afraid of your own company? Are you bored by yourself? Very gently coming back into the center. Don't use word to word my teachings. It's just a blueprint to navigate your journey. Elbow onto the knee, left arm reaching up, shoulder blades open. Release that tension of occupying in certain part of the body. Release that artificial meaning around you. So this is not about finding someone, person who are afraid of their own loneliness. Left reaching into the front, touch the floor. Right arm reaching up to the ceiling, clench and unclench. Allow the breathing. Allow the observation. Allow the thoughts without having any ownership of it. Sometimes in the great realization of being married, but then sometimes when you're married, the love disappears because that love that on a marriage and a two partners can be illusion if you don't have the practice. Doesn't mean you have a title for the house, means it's a home. Right, reaching into the back, touch the floor. Just understand what part of your life is in slavery. Into a plank, strong on the pelvic floor. Right knee onto the floor, left arm reaching up to the ceiling. Clench and unclench deep, 6 cycles of breath. Very gently coming into that realization. The body in that is slave is also a slave to the organ, slave to the liver, slave to the pancreas. Very gently releasing that bondage. Very gently observe the energies that are struggling to become free because your old memory, because of your old habits. Just observe the boredom, the longing. Left reaching into the back, touch the floor. Drop the knees. Give a good rotation to the hips and release that bondage from the digestion, from the hips, from the knees. Just observation of the mind going into the pendulum, moving from the extreme to the other. Very gently, your realization is not an extreme and it's not an attachment. Onto the other side. Because real understanding and realization is not a bait, not attachment. It's not a mechanism onto the other side. And knees wide apart and very gently stretching the spine and very gently releasing that possession, processing. Now very gently understand that you don't turn a thing into a form. The moment you possess something, someone, you have really have violated that space, insulted that deeply, because you have made that into a thing. When you possess, you're not a person. You're just an item amongst the rest of the furniture in the house. So now, allow this moment, releasing all the bargains that are happening in your life. Very gently observe the struggle in the mind. It's very hard to possess something and also in the meantime find freedom in it. You want to retain your freedom and still possess? This is a struggle. People, it is the same struggle that they want to have the past holding, but then they say it's painful. I want to release. But if you possess that past, it possesses you. If you don't want to be possessed by it, I should not possess it. Possession should not come in between. So liberate into the space. You're independent. You're free of your consciousness. Now you can come together with anything. You can merge into each other, into a place, into a relationship, but not possess. So there is no bondage. Then there is no attachment to the results even. Palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Breathing in into an up face. Shoulders relax and chest open. Lift up the space of the heart, the throat. Shoulders relax. Open that neck, open that jaw, open that throat, open that forehead. Open those ears. Breathe out towards the down face. Now very gently walk those palms very gently towards the feet. Bend the knees very gently. If your wrist is lifting up, bend the knees. Very gently holding onto the opposite elbows. Now very gently shake the neck, shake the head, and very gently release that tension of fear slightly because your energy might be rising onto the crown. The possession doesn't leave that easy. So now very gently wake up the spine one vertebra at a time. Wake up the spine one vertebra at a time. Just in that space of this move. Just there's a contentment, just there is a bliss. And you realize your inner consciousness, you're centered. Now nothing is attachment, even people see that it's attachment, but for you it's not an attachment. If you do not know this space within yourself, then everything is an attachment, everything has to have a result. And everything doesn't have to have results. I have failed so many times in life, and I think they are great. You only realize when you have passed that time how great that experience was. But we all want to win first time, we want to achieve first time. So yes, constant attachment to whatever we do because we are fear of failing. There is no shame on failing. You might learn a bit more about others, a bit more about yourself. Stretch the neck to the right. Stretch the neck to the left. Back to the center. Shoulders relax. Arms raised onto the crown and lifting up onto the toes. But just imagine yourself, someone pulling into the higher self, pulling into the lower self, and then you're maintaining the space without taking a side. Engage the pelvic floor, contract the glutes so that you have a stability, and very gently breathe out and relax. Now feet mat width apart, bending the knee and sitting deeper. Shoulders relax. This is really good for the space of the groin, space of the hip, space of the bowels, even to the space of the constipation. And if you need a block, please use a block and very gently palms onto the namaskar position and finding that today is about treating yourself, and really treating good and well is the practice. Really taking care of you is the practice. Really taking care of your needs is the practice. And in the time you gave to understand how you identify things, identify forms, images, people, behaviors. And this is about finding that place that you're less judgment, you're less fear, you're less in the doubt. So now inside of you, if you're not present, that space is absent. When that space is absent, you try to cling on to anything in order to feel safe. Now you got it? If you're not rooted, so you try to make anything your roots, but this is not correct. Now the practice has allowed you to be rooted into yourself. When you know who you are, when you know that space of this being is which is you, and that consciousness is which is you, then you will not cling on to anything, anyone, not even to yourself. Now very gently release that space of the buttocks onto the floor and very gently coming into seating posture. Very gently twisting the spine, very gently onto the left side with the out breath. Back to the center, onto the other side. Back to the center. Now very gently resting your palms on top of the knees. Shoulders relax and allow your energy to be transformed. Now, when you come into this self-love, now you can see the energy has the chance now to transform to a higher reality. So please use this opportunity. Not about nagging and trying to get help. Just coming into that space where you can observe the nagging of the mind, nagging of the body. Watch what is your attach in this very moment. Watch what are you afraid in this very moment. Watch what you're clinging into this very moment. Because the fear only attach protection, because it cannot be alone. It cannot be alone when you're afraid. Attachment will only suffocate the freedom that you're having. It's a sheer foolishness. Just observe every time that you want to be in the present moment, what distracts you. And out of that distraction, you want to possess. So what are you possessing? You're possessing the future. You're possessing the security. The more possessions, this is violent to the body. This is violent to the mind. Out of that realization, very gently coming, arms very gently raised back to the crown, cleansing the space and the aura of your home, of your environment, of your relationship, to the health, to the well-being, to the others, without that separation. Palms onto the Namaskar position and its realization. Very gently bowing into the space of your realization. Touch the earth. Respect for these amazing energies of the creation of the form. Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Patavidhatu. Earth particles, air particles, heat particles, water particles. Now these particles generate a vibration where your emotions are. Now, if you are not observing your emotions, it can create an imbalance in your health and well-being. Gently coming out of that realization and the practice. But the time that you have given to observe and you took a break from your old self. This is not creating another reality of your personality. This is just coming into end that the mind and the thought is just noise. And the more you invest on this, more you will have that space of liberation, freedom, not to be slave to anything, even to the victories that you're going to gain through this life. Gently coming out of the posture. Namaste. So you turn the camera. So